Nobody can deny the undeniable. And anybody who's paying attention is going to see we just quantum shifted. I'm still adjusting myself. Maybe you are too. But we're not imagining it. And there's a few things about what we're going through right now that I think it's important to remember. Firstly, you're multi-dimensional, time-traveling being. And for so much of your life, and for so much of my life, I guess we're doing a visual here today. I guess so. Sure, a visual, why not? This is the board, right? This is reality as we know it. Just pretend with me. This stick, the tip of it is you, walking your little path, right? Your huge path. I didn't mean that to belittle you. We're walking our huge, massive journey of our path. And we have a lot of moments in our lives where we shift to an alternate timeline. But we don't go too far from what we know, from what's safe and what's comfortable to us, and what we can understand and make sense of on the board of reality. We wobble a bit into different frequencies that are slightly different, and sometimes we go through a major shift where we go really far to a different side of the board. Maybe something profound happened in your life, or like a huge breakthrough, or maybe if you're like me, you went through an interesting shift at one point in your life. For me, this happened over winter, where I actually chose fear and went very far into a certain direction of the board for me that was a manifestation of my need for control and to understand everything. So that was actually a big quantum leap for me, very far from my highest path. But that happens sometimes. We go really high in a really I'm ascending direction, and sometimes we descend. We do big shifts and we wobble here and there. But here's what's going on right now. You're off the board. You feel it, right? You're not on the board anymore. You're not on something that can be understood. You're not on something that can be made sense of. That's why you may feel some interesting energies and frequencies kind of wobbling around right now as you're stabilizing this new frequency. Sometimes people say this is like an upgrade or, collective shift, right? Whatever you want to call it is fine, but something very real is happening, and it's not imagined. It is the true nature of reality. And we've done such a massive leap off of the board that it's undeniable. I mean, I want to tell you something. Literally, businesses in my town that I live in just changed names overnight. I woke up this morning and I felt this massive difference in frequency, almost like I had to learn to walk again. I literally felt like an infant baby, like just tripped out. And the last 3 days of my life have literally, for me, I don't know if you've been experiencing this. I'd like to know if you have been. I felt like I've been on some acid trip or something for the last 3 days. And it's been years since I've done anything like that. It was just mind-blowing to me. And I'm feeling this extraordinary energy rippling through my body. And I feel both a mix of bliss and a little bit of sickness too, as I'm adjusting, as I'm purging certain alternate past versions, past timelines of myself that cannot resonate or exist on the frequency of this new timeline that I've asked for on a higher level, and so have you. We'll talk a bit about that too. Businesses in my town, I drove into town today, changed their names, painted differently, new murals. The UI on my phone, the interface, everything's in a different place. The search bar's in a different place. There's a new color scheme, a new background on my phone. Everything is reorganized. The settings weren't where they were before. This is truly ridiculous. I mean, even the people that I interacted with today, meeting them for the first time because they're not the same versions I knew just a few days ago. But you see, this is the real nature of reality. We're constantly shifting frequency. Our vibration is constantly magnetizing and moving us toward alternate expressions of reality, which is just your own consciousness you're playing in, by the way. I'm just you speaking to yourself right now. You've called this forth. This is your mirror, your reflection. I'm your dream, in a sense. But it's a collective dream, and we have collectively shifted, I think. I don't think it's just me. Maybe I'm in a new reality today, and to you, you've been in this one, and I just seem a bit strange. Or maybe it feels a little bit new here to you too. I don't know. But I didn't come here today in this video to be understood, and I didn't come here to make sense. And I don't need anybody to understand me. I don't need anybody to accept me for who I am. I don't. I'm just ready to be who I am, no matter what. And that's the inner shift in me that's been growing over these last few weeks that catalyzed a few days ago when I made a decision to release the number one thing that was holding me back from shifting to my higher frequency timeline, which I know for me, I shifted, you know, I'm new here. Okay, this is not the reality that I remember. It's different in a lot of ways. What changed first was me. Before all of this happened, before all of this happened for you, something in us changed. Something in our true spirit, in our soul, our higher self, you know, whatever you want to call it. Something said, I want to be who I am. Period. And not only that, but something said, and I'm willing to let go of my fear of what might happen in my life if I do be who I am. I'm willing to let go of my financial fears. I'm willing to let go of fear of whether my relationship will end or not because of my choosing to so radically shift into my own essence. Because I'll tell you this, my essence doesn't feel the need to play around in shallow social games. It does not concern itself with what other people are thinking about me. No, I'm much more free than any of those boxes could possibly hold me in. Not anymore. Because I made it, I'm here. And you are too. And when we decided, whether you did so consciously or in a higher level of your consciousness that you might not fully recognize, but I think you do recognize it. Otherwise, I honestly don't think we could exist in the same vibrational space to have this conversation. You're probably very aware, aren't you? Well, you said, I don't care what happens. I don't care what happens. I'm letting go fully. I'm surrendering to my own becoming, to my own being. I'm being my becoming. I'm becoming my being. And whatever cannot exist in my life, whatever truly does not match my authentic frequency, I bless it. Thank you for being in my life for all those beautiful times and moments that you were. But if you walk out the door because you cannot exist in my presence, then so be it. Bless you and have a good day and night and tomorrow as well. to all of it. Even my own identity, I bless it. Go ahead and leave. I can tell you can't fit me anymore. I'm too powerful for the old me that tried to make sense of myself and show myself in some kind of way that could be digested. You can't digest me. I'm not edible in that way. No. But it is hard to digest right now for many of us who have gone through this shift, because in a sense we are learning to walk again. We are learning to speak again. And you may feel some kind of wobbly, high frequency energy, and I just want you to know, don't be scared. Don't be scared, because there's nothing that can hurt you, truly. I know there's a lot of people on other timelines that are very fear-based and control-based who truly believe that there are so many things out there to be afraid of. And there are things that may not have your best interest. Sure, I've seen plenty of those structures in this world. Yes, I've seen many. But none of them can win against the power of your true authentic presence. And that is what this timeline represents. You are going to be seen more now than ever before in the way that is authentic to your path, because you are seeing yourself more than ever. And you are not seeing yourself with judgment. And it may be wobbly right now, but you are bearing witness to your own becoming. So I tell you what, if you feel this high frequency energy, if it feels a little sick, if you feel a little ungrounded, do what I did today if you want. Lay on the ground. Dig your feet and your hands into it. Lay down. Breathe. And the most beautiful thing I did today in this new timeline, I sat at the park for a while and I just listened to everything. Everyone that was there. The rustling of the leaves, because it's pretty windy today. And a few times people tried to talk to me, but I was so immersed in the stillness and the silence, I was too much of a witness to even respond. It probably seems to those who tried to interact with me that I must be tripping today. And in a sense, I kind of am, but in a very real and clear fashion, with no substance other than my own presence involved. This timeline represents some very extraordinary things, my friend. It represents your willingness to walk your true authentic path, no matter what that means. And that means that we will be continuously letting go on this timeline. And as we do, as we release, and for some of us that may come as a purge of the fears and the old identities that try to rise and make noise in the field. If you've heard them, you should be celebrating, because the fact that you hear them and notice them proves your conscious awareness. Do not be afraid at some of the things you may hear and feel. Do not be afraid at the fact that you may perceive your fear in a very real way, because it is your perception of it, your awareness of it, that is transforming and catalyzing everything that you are into being. The fact that you're noticing it is glorious. And it's very aligned with this timeline we're on. But we're going to shift again. I want to tell you something. We will shift again. Probably much further and deeper into the unknown than we're even able to reconcile or foreshadow today in this conversation. Other than the fact that there's something off the board that's been magnetizing and pulling you towards it your entire life, and it's the truth. But we have clung to the board and wobbled between various timelines in our comfort zone because of our fear of the unknown, because of that stillness, that silence, that unmanifest space where all things rise up out of. It is a void that someday you will enter into fully. And you will find God in this place, in the unmanifest, in the emptiness. It's where true God spills out of. It's where all light emerges from. And I'll tell you something else. When I die, I will not be going to the light. I won't be. Because I've seen bugs fly into bug zappers too many times. And I've seen too many things beyond the veil of this dimensional plane that we speak on. I will not be going to the light. I will be entering into the void, the space within myself that most people fear their entire lives from ever visiting. I will enter into it completely, and I will not be fooled by any light outside of myself claiming to have some kind of authority over me. Because one of the extraordinary things about being in the darkness, being off the board, in this timeline, in this frequency as it unfolds, and your journey begins to continue on as it always has and always will, the real light shines from within you. It guides you always. It's the exact place I'm speaking to you from today. It's always been within you, everything you've ever needed. That's why I'm not afraid to let go of the board, of what makes sense, of what can be understood. There's a vibrational barrier, a wall that the collective consciousness has installed in this earth reality to keep your consciousness from fully expanding and reaching into the true essence of who and what you actually are. Why? Because the collective is afraid, generally speaking, of what they cannot understand, of what they cannot control, of what they can't put in a box and tie a ribbon on and package and sell. And who you are has broken beyond that barrier now. That is the frequency of this timeline. So you must understand that many things may begin to change. Resonance is shifting just as they always do. Relationship changes, vibrational changes. Everything will change when you change within. I wanted to tell you something else that just came to me now. I heard of someone else saying this. I liked it a lot, and apparently it wants to be shared with you in this mirror. Did you know that Buddha wasn't a Buddhist? He just trusted his own path and let the inner light within him lead him to what it was that he needed to see and explore in his own becoming of his own being. Something else interesting, Jesus was not a Christian. He too trusted the inner light within himself and trusted his path and walked it no matter what anybody else said about it, no matter what the collective society or rules or dogma at the time around these people were. They trusted what was within them and they let it lead them. And they came home. And that is the path and the frequency of the timeline that you and I are on right now. And that is exactly why nothing on this timeline will be able to stop you. Because some part of you, subconsciously, consciously, full consciousness, slight consciousness, some part of you, a very important part of you, that has catalyzed all of this into becoming. Some part of you realized that the true light is within. Let it lead. It's what you're doing. Take time to ground. I recommend, not that I'm the boss of you, but that you eat very healthy. And that can be subjective because every body is different. But pay attention, listen carefully to your temple. Because higher frequency energies, they're here. But some parts of us are still catching up and learning how to hold these frequencies. And it is our job to help this process along by taking good care of ourselves and trusting the process as well. Much love. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. See you there.